I wanted to address this point a little for me, the different funding options, because we assume everybody out there knows. So if you can just enumerate some of them, especially the ones that may not be so obvious to that guy who is working on his system right now and is trying to create something. Those are the ones I have a passion for. That is where the Mark Zuckerberg is hiding of tomorrow. That young man in Isaleko, that young man in Yaba, or somewhere in Omaha, Nebraska, who is just doing stuff on his system, but has no clue about how to get the little money to start going. Can you go into that for them a little bit? Go ahead.
At its most basic level, right? It comes back to what are you building and how do you craft that early product? If you can craft your early product in a way where you minimize the number of things you have to prove, you don't need as much money. That's number one to me. Number two is figuring out how you're going to fund your own personal lifestyle while you build that early product, right? So typically, to me, again, if you're in Yaba, it is different than if you're in Ukraine, different than if you're in Vladivostok or San Francisco. But generally, I think you can start with 1,000, 5,000, 25,000, depending on where you are. If you're in San Francisco, it's maybe 25,000. If you're in Lagos, it's 1,000. But my point is, if you craft your product and what you're trying to prove in a very manageable way, you can build the first product with no code. To me, the three secrets today are no code, automation, and AI. You can build a product very quickly with those three technologies, and you can prove something material, which is, do people want this thing? How badly do they want it? How quickly can I get to customers that matter? Can I prove that this thing is creating value for them? There are these 4 or 5 things you can prove very quickly. And I think if you can craft that first and figure out what those things are and then go build it quickly in a matter of weeks and put it out there and validate those things, then at least you have the beginnings of a story to then go to the next stage, which is to go find that first round of capital. And the first round is typically what we call friends and family. And there are even some funds now. There's one in Chicago. There's one through Techstars. There's a bunch of them now that are acting in that first check category, which is sub $50,000, where if you can prove something is useful to a certain amount of customers that want it, and you can build that initial product, you can usually get to that first round. In fact, one of the best angel investors out there right now, a guy called Jason Calacanis, he runs a fund called the Launch Fund. He's doing $25,000. You enter his program, you basically go and you practice, you build your first product inside of his ecosystem for, I think it's like 6 weeks, and then best companies get $25,000. So there are many ways you can get to that first 25 to 50K. You then, from that first 25 to 50K, you build kind of an initial product that then you can take to market and go prove that customers want it. And so to me, that is the first thing, is to scale down, niche down to something that you know you can prove in a couple of weeks and go build the first product, and ideally do it without anybody's money. If you have to drive Uber for 2-3 months to do it, drive Uber. If you need to go to your cousin and get a small advance, do that. Or just work any part-time job and pay for those first things. If you build with no code, if you build with AI, and you're building typically with automation, you can build almost any product in a matter of weeks and get that initial thing built without a lot of money.